This is how I want Rick to die. This is how I'm going to do it. Do you want to hear it? I was going to say it anyway. So we're going through a desert somewhere, and I jump off the bus. I'm telling it. I'm saying it. He likes it. I said it in Madrid, and he went, "Don't tell anybody, because it's good." So in a very heroic act, Rick jumps off. Carls in the... He's still alive. Don't worry about Carl. Him. And maybe that's the last thing I say. Anyway, I jump off, and I'm like kung fu kicking, all the, earn my action figure, right? Halfway through, I get bit. Ow! Doesn't matter. Keep going, Carl. They've gone. Tracks through the desert. High shot. Beautiful. High shot. Anyway, deal with that stuff. I get and I'm dying on my own. On my own, just waiting to die. And and then I wait and I patch up, and then a day passes.
You patch up?
I patch myself up. I'm a survivalist. Anyway, patch myself up. I don't die. Final shot is, holy shit, maybe I'm the cure. Final shot of the whole thing. High shot. Herd of zombies coming. Rick gets up, follows the tracks to go see Carl. High shot like this. Walking, the herd comes towards him, and they separate. He walks through. Boom!
Oh, it's time. Time to get radical.
Viewer discretion is advised.
So the big question is this, concerning The Walking Dead. After the death of Carl Grimes, and after reports tell us that Rick Grimes, Andrew Lincoln's character, will be leaving the show in the upcoming season, can The Walking Dead survive going forward? Well, the answer you get is a little different depending on who you talk to. If you talk to a lot of die-hard Walking Dead fans, then the answer is yes. The show can go forward. Because, well, they're hopelessly devoted to the show. In the same way, certain people on YouTube are hopelessly devoted to people like Alpha Omega Sin, who don't give a shit about them, and who has left the platform entirely. The fans are hopelessly devoted. And something you should never be is hopelessly devoted to a show or a YouTuber, because that shit is fucking sad. Have the self-respect to leave a YouTuber when they have left you. Have the self-respect to leave a show when it has left you. What I mean by The Walking Dead leaving you is leaving you in a place where you have nothing more to root for. The Walking Dead is not a happy show. Okay, it's not a positive show. The Walking Dead, though, does center around Rick Grimes. Okay? I can't think of anything I've seen in the past 10 years that is more focused around one individual character other than The Walking Dead. Okay? You might say, the Avengers, a lot of people say in the next Avengers movie, you might lose Iron Man or Captain America. Okay? And some of you might say, well, what would the Avengers movie be without Captain America? That would be a big blow to the Avengers. Yes, it would be. Losing Iron Man or Robert Downey Jr. to that series would be a big blow. Could you go forward with future Avenger movies? Would people not watch those movies? With Avengers, even though it would be a big loss to lose one or two of those characters, there's so many characters in the Marvel Universe that are beloved and could be seen as leaders to slot themselves in that role. You wouldn't feel the loss as much after a while, okay? And also, the Avengers movie, and a lot of popular media comic related, is about fighting enemies, fighting bad guys, okay? And that's what makes that different from something like The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead is a story that was crafted around Rick Grimes. From the very first episode, from the very beginning, it's all been about Rick motherfucking Grimes, okay? Everyone understands this that watches the show. So all you naysayers that think it can really go forward without Rick Grimes are kind of fooling yourself, okay? Go back episodes earlier and just go ahead and watch every scene like without Rick Grimes. The show doesn't make any freaking sense, okay? Watch every scene without Carl Grimes, okay? The story doesn't make any sense. Now, this show regularly kills off main characters. Sure it does. Villains, heroes, good guys, bad guys, or whatever on this show, they kill them off. But the thing that separates The Walking Dead from something like The Avengers is the heroes and villains are not as... It's not a typical good versus bad story, okay? The Walking Dead, to its credit, had like a lot of nuance, okay? People usually pick their own heroes and villains. For instance, Shane, who was seen as a evil, bad villain in Season 2, now people look back and say, I wish we had Shane back. Shane was right on a lot of things, okay? But in a bad way, I think The Walking Dead kind of lost its heart. Because you see a character like Rick Grimes just basically killing people. Just killing. There's no redemption. I think in one episode he just slaughtered some of Negan's people. Just slaughtered them. So you really look at it and say, between Rick and Negan, if there's a story they're trying to tell, you know, which one's good and which one's bad? Is Rick only good because, well, yeah, Rick's only good because we've known him since the very first fucking episode. Okay? For every reason, for every single reason, The Walking Dead needs Rick Grimes. If you do not have Rick Grimes, you don't have people instantly that can slot into that role that we've spent a lot of time caring about their character. Okay? You might say Daryl, you might say Carol, you know, you might say Michonne. Out of those three choices, the only one I could probably think of would be Carol. And I said this in a previous video. But even then, you're kind of stretching the believability. The believability that we would actually, as viewers, give a shit about the show if you do something like take away that main character. But this is happening. A lot of people on The Walking Dead, a lot of fans of The Walking Dead, cannot just admit to themselves that the show, for all intents and purposes, in its current form, is essentially all but fucking done. It's over. Will they still make episodes? Yeah, I guess. Will it still make a little bit of money for AMC? Yeah. But when a show's over, it's over. Okay? It's like there's no... It would take the greatest writers in the world, which is not the writers on The Walking Dead, to even attempt to make us interested to watch the show and forget about how important Rick Grimes' character was. Okay, it's even stretching it when they killed Carl. For a lot of people, myself included, the show was over when they killed Carl. Because the story, to me, was about Rick and his relationship with his son, Carl. It's no consolidation prize that in the TV show versus the comic, Rick's daughter, I mean Shane's daughter, is alive in the show. Okay, so that's a tough pill to swallow. But still, we was able to watch a show because of Rick and his daughter. You know, a lot of people were still into it. And it's like, hey, well, Carl might be dead, but we still got Judith, huh? the fans were kind of lying to themselves. But now Rick's gonna die. It's not a question of is Rick dying, it's what is death will mean to the show. This news comes ahead of the season and will cast a shadow over the season. If you watch the next season, you're just basically watching a eulogy to Rick, like a walking eulogy. And you know what? They might actually pop some ratings to see how everyone's going to ask, how's he going to die? How's he going to die? I'll tell you what. How pathetic are you if you're watching a show just curious on how a character dies? What does that say about you? And I don't mean like an evil character, I mean like the main character of the show. There's nothing that's going to compel me to watch the show. A friend of mine that watches the show religiously was surprised when I let him know the news that, yeah, they're going to kill off Rick. He didn't believe it. He's like, but how do they have a show without Rick? I'm like, exactly. How do they have a fucking show without Rick? Now, you might say, they have nothing that they can do because Andrew Lincoln is the one that chose to leave the show. It's not that AMC's firing him. It's not like they're killing him off like they killed off Carl. But they made a decision to kill off Carl, and this personally, in real life, affected the actor Andrew Lincoln. When they killed off the character of Beth, reports are that Norman Reedus wanted to leave the show. Now, these are different scenarios because Beth's story wasn't integral to the plot of The Walking Dead. But now, who knows what they're going to do? I mean, they're probably just scrambling, trying to figure out what they're going to do. The reports I hear, okay, and take this with a grain of salt, is that Rick dies halfway through the season, and he dies of multiple walker bites. Wow, compelling. That's what I can tell you now, okay? I don't know much more, but that's what I'm hearing. Now, as far as Carl's death, if it had to happen, this is a problem that I have with The Walking Dead. Okay? This is the problem I have with The Walking Dead. Very rarely does a huge character death happen and have any bearing on the future whatsoever. They have huge character death, they cry and they moan about it, but then it goes forward. Like Beth's death. Did that have any bearing on anything going forward? You saw Maggie cry for a little bit, but then after that, was there any reference to it whatsoever? Carl's death should have at least, if he had to die, maybe have it, and I'm not a Hollywood writer, but I could have written something better than what they actually wound up doing. Maybe have his death have a big bearing on the relationship between Rick and Negan. Maybe have them both in a gunfight, and Carl comes up to try to stop it, to try to stop the gunfight, but then he takes bullets from both Rick and Negan, and he winds up, having dying words, and he's talking to them both, he grabs them both by the cheek and, tells them, you have to stop this for the good of the future, have his death have him be like a martyr for peace or something like that. Anything could have been better. And you might say, well, then he wouldn't have all those tender moments with Judith taking selfies. Who the fuck cares about that? Who the fuck cares about his tender moments and his tender death? The fact is, he's dead, he's going to the ground anyway. Okay? His death took forever on the show, like it took forever too. They milked that shit. They milked it. They even stretched it out from a half season cliffhanger. They tend to stretch out these deaths to get the maximum impact from them. So then the show kind of reveals itself as being nothing more. The story is pretty much gone in the show right now. There's no hope in this show. It's just about, hey, who's gonna die next? Who's gonna die next? You can have all the writing in the world between who's gonna die next, but if all people care about is, hey, who's gonna die next, then that to me is a shitty kind of show. But yeah, that would have been a better way to die. And to the people that are responsible for writing Rick's death upcoming, here's an idea. And if you do this idea, okay, Kang, Gimple, whoever's writing it now, can you please give me a kickback? Give me a couple grand for coming up with this idea for you. Rick's death. Whether he's stabbed or shot or bitten by a walker, okay? Or a combination of all those. Have him going out protecting Judith, okay? Protecting Judith in some way, saving Judith, and then, before his death, handing off Judith to maybe Daryl. If you want to make Daryl your new top character in the show, have him handing off Judith, saying something like, I'm gone, I'm dying, Daryl. It's up to you. The future is up to you. Take care of Judith, please. You're my best friend. I'm off to be with Coral now. Maybe not that last part. But you know, do something like that. But I tell you what. Here's what I think they're actually going to do. I told you in a previous video, I think they're going with Daryl as their main character. I think they'll try that out. But if that's a big bomb, they're going to do a fucking time skip. They're going to do a time skip into the future, you see. And they're going to replace all the cast. They're going to replace all the cast with older people, then have younger people. And then it might turn into a different spin-off show. It's going to be the Judith Grimes show. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure. The point of the matter is, whatever they do into the future now, it's not going to matter. Okay, even if people still watch the show and it still makes money and they still sell their t-shirts, it's not going to matter. Because for true fans like myself that watched the show from the very beginning, that cared about the show, that thought it was a refreshing breath of fresh air on primetime Sunday nights, the show, The Walking Dead, is fucking dead.